Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to one of my replays. This is me driving the successor to the M18 Hellcat. This is the T25/2, the American Tier 6 turreted tank destroyer. I have a review of this machine on my channel if you are interested. It is not a particularly well liked machine. In my opinion, it's just very meh. It's not terrible, and it's certainly not as bad as a lot of people would have you believe. You just can't play it like a traditional tank destroyer because you don't have the firepower, and all things considered, it's just a very bland, uninspiring machine, really. Anyway, as you can see, this is a tier 7 game, so we're top tier, which is great from the perspective of the T25, and we're here on Abbey. Now, if any of you, for those of you who watched some of the live streams I did over kind of the Christmas New Year period, and have heard my hello piece of terrain, or have heard my thoughts on this map, you may well be aware that this is not a map I like. This is one of my... I really, really don't like this map. This is one of the original corridor maps. If you look at the map, you have a corridor down the 1 and 2 lines, you have a corridor down the 7 line, you have a corridor down the 8 and 9 lines, and depending on how dumb you want to be, there's also a corridor down the 3 and 4 lines. It is a bloody horrible map in my opinion. It's basically get in a heavy tank or GTFO. And I despise it. Now, the one thing to bear in mind about this map, one day I'll do a map tactics video on this blasted lump of rock, but in the interim, in my opinion, this map really plays kind of from the 1 and 2 lines down. The 8 and 9 lines is literally just a road that meanders along by the riverside there, and it's just where heavy tanks go to batter each other to death. It's a full frontal engagement. There is absolutely nothing interesting to be said about it. And if the enemy captures your base, it is uphill from there to any position from which you can defend your base, and that's never a good position to be in. The town is where the light tanks and low tier medium tanks end up being forced to go, and again, since they stripped away some of the concealment from regions in the town, it's nowhere near as effective as it used to be, and it's not a particularly good place. You can always camp at base, but God, I hate people who camp base, including me when I do it. And then you have the 1 and 2 lines, which is where we are, which gives you a lot more options. It doesn't give you huge numbers of options, but it gives you a lot more options compared to the other locations on the map. Anyway, I'm going to stop bitching about Abbey for now, and actually get onto the gameplay in question. So far we've put in some damage on like a low tier light tank, this M6 who we execute, an 88. We've managed to put in some damage, but and we've pushed through this flank. We are basically approaching the enemy base. However, have a look at that minimap. You may notice that while we are pushing through and approaching the enemy base on this side, the enemy have basically sent a whole load of tanks to do the can-can down the 8 and 9 line, and the only thing currently holding them off is a solo lone Jagdpanther. He is going to be overwhelmed in all likelihood, and once he's gone, that just leaves a GW Panther, a Stura Emil, and an SU-122-44 who might have better things to be doing at the moment, or other things to be doing at the moment. So we really want to head back and help defend our base. Having said that, I do not want to get repeatedly shot in the bum by this IS, and I do not want this IS facing off against our KV-1 and ARL without a bit of assistance. So we put one shot into him, second shot, back off, he flubs his round. And there's another one. And after we've dealt with this guy, I really need to head back to base pretty darn sharpish. Low damage roll, unfortunately, leaving the guy on 37 health, but hopefully those fellows, there we go, can deal with a 37 health IS. So, now, really need to get back to the base. The mobility on this tank is not bad. It's nothing too special, but it's, you know, not bad. And the Jagdpanther saying, cap fast, right lost. Generally speaking, that's not a particularly good idea. If you can, you usually want to go back to defend your own base. Now there is the slight caveat here that the enemy would struggle to defend their base from the 8 and 9 lines, which is where they've pushed. However, they could defend it from the central town. So this is a little bit awkward, and the Jagdpanther's going, "Cap, idiots." Yeah, well, deal with it. The fact remains that we're not really going to be able to outcap them. It's just, generally speaking, not a good idea to try and get into a capping race, if you can possibly avoid it. There are situations where you don't have much choice, but this is not one of them, because from the 1 and 2 lines where we are, you can actually defend our capture circle. Now, the KV1 is pointing out in chat to people who are whinging about going and capping, our ARL tried to cap, and he died for it, so that's perhaps not quite such a good plan. KV2 is using the long gun, because KV2, I don't know, maybe he's already played the T150. I'd see no reason really to use the long gun on the KV2, so I put him out of his misery rather than him having to deal with the embarrassment of using that gun on the KV2. So 4 plays 4 at the end of the game here. T37 and T29 were last spotted over toward the town. Going to try and use these bushes to see if I can spot anyone in the central region. Waiting for me banners and me camo net, but no dice. Now the T37 was actually spotted in the town itself, maybe he's still there. The T29, however, was spotted out in the open, so we don't know where that guy is currently. The fact that he's managed to get somewhere where we can't spot him suggests that, well, clearly we don't have line of sight, or that he's hiding behind some concealment, so he might have retreated into the town, which for the moment is not a massive problem if he has done that. Alternatively, he might be sneaky and have taken an alternative route. We don't know exactly when that T29 was last spotted there, so yeah, he might be taking a different route, and we need to bear in mind it's possible that T29 could be coming up our wazoo. As for the GW Panther, he's probably at their base. The SU-100, don't know, but he's definitely not AFK, as he does have a kill. Well, if he is AFK, he wasn't earlier on. So the GW Panther is thinking a similar thing to me, and just at that moment the T-37 gets spotted, but have no shots. There we go. And we managed to put a round into him. There's the SU-100 as well. Now, your typical average player in World of Tanks is much better in a tank destroyer than they are in a light tank, because, well, a light tank actually requires more skill to play, if you will. But there's the T29, and we take a big old round in the side from that SU-100, leaving us on 301 health, which is really bad, because it means we're a one-shot for this T29. So, trying to make sure that SU-100 is not going to have another shot on me, and also trying to make sure, without being, you know, too nasty about it, that these KV-1s are taking the shots for me. They can survive a hit, I cannot. I have a better gun than they do, but I cannot take a hit. Ooh, that was a little bit close. I probably should have timed that a bit better. But I cannot take a hit from the 105mm gun on that T29. As you can see, he was trying something sneaky. So, we polish off that T29. In fact, it was the T29 who spotted us, enabling the SU-100 to shave off half our health there. So the T29 is now dealt with. That leaves the GW Panther, SU-100 and T-37, and there's the SU-100. This is awkward, especially if the T-37 is in a position to have flanking shots on me. Our GW Panther is attacking this guy. Our KV-1s are putting shots in, so I really don't want to poke around here if I don't have to, and an SU-100 is not good playing a corner fight, which is what he's trying to do. SU-100 fires, flubs his shot, our artillery misses, and that leaves the SU on 15 health. T-37 has also come around to come up from behind us, and you might say, took a bit of a risk there, by the way, but the problem was the T-37 was behind us, which means we had tanks to either side of us, so one of them needed to die or we were going to get flanked, because it's just me and this one-shot KV-1 left. Anyway, you might think that it seemed a bit odd that everyone was coming up behind us there. Well, the T-37 was going where the T-29 had last attempted to go. The SU-100 was coming around the other side, so actually these guys kind of worked well together. In as much as they tried to come at us from different flanks. So, you know, I don't want to be too harsh about those guys. I can see what they were trying to achieve. Which is why I had to take that risk, or I felt that I had to take that risk and try and kill the SU-100, even though he could have shotgunned me in the face, and if he had done so, we almost certainly would have lost this game. But it's not won yet. Well, I say almost certainly would have lost this game. Yeah, we'd have almost certainly lost this game. Disregarding a lucky shotgun from an artillery piece here or there. Now, speaking of artillery pieces, if you look at the minimap, you will see that our GW Panther is going up the 8 and 9 lines, i.e. he is not sitting in a predictable position waiting to die. It's always nice to have an artillery player who knows that the WASD keys exist and knows that their tank gets an engine and some suspension. It's always a good feeling. So depressing when you get artillery players and they just seem to be glued to their spawn spot. I don't understand, but there we go. Unfortunately, the T-37 is a quick little bugger, and he comes across the GW Panther. Fortunately, however, our GW Panther is having none of this rubbish, and shotguns the guy in the face. I don't think that T-37 was expecting to find a GW Panther down there, to be honest. So, well done to the GW Panther. He played a good game there, and if you actually look at it, he's on 4 kills, so damn good job to him. Now that just leaves the enemy GW Panther, and with the kills secured on the T-37, the SU-100 and the T-29, it would now be very difficult for us to lose this game. Not impossible, just difficult. GW Panther is there, and I actually managed to ammo rack that guy. GW Panther does seem to have quite a susceptible ammo rack. I guess it's based on the Panther chassis, so that explains it. Anyway, that was the game. Let's go and have a look at those results. So there we go. That ended up being our ace tanker in the T25-2. We also got the Demolitionist, Fire for Effect, Fighter, Master Gunner and Bruiser ribbons there, as well as a high caliber medal, which is always nice, and finished the second tank destroyer mission for, I believe it was for the T55. Yeah, it was for the T55. We managed 3,977 damage, 5 kills, and 1,317 base experience. Now, just to put that into some sort of perspective, 3,977 damage is enough damage to complete Tank Destroyer mission number 15 for the Stug 4. It's just shy of the 4,000 damage required to complete that same mission for the T28 heavy tank concept. But it would have completed the do triple your HP in damage mission for the T55. So there is that. I think it's for the T55 you have to do triple your HP. No, it's quadruple for the T55. So it would have completed the mission for the T28 heavy tank concept, and it would also have completed it for the T55. Just had to do a quick bit of maths there. For the T55 it's do 4 times your health in damage. Usually people advise tier 6 or tier 8 machines for it. We managed to do it in the T25-2 at tier 7, which is not too shabby. 20 shots fired, 18 hits, 18 pens. We were top tier, we didn't need to fire any APCR. I carry some APCR in this machine, but I haven't actually needed to fire a single shot of it. Ever? Maybe I fired 1 or 2 shots while I was grinding it out, but I certainly didn't fire very much. Not as much as the slightly low penetration on the gun might lead you to assume. 600 of that damage was from more than 300 meters, which meant unusually for a tank destroyer, especially one without much armor, we did most of our damage, i.e. 3,377, from fairly close range. We received 3 hits, of which 2 penetrated and 1 didn't. I'm not sure what the one non-penetration was. Perhaps it was a shot from that looks toward the beginning or something. No, 240 damage blocked with our armor. Looks like a 90mm gun. Not sure who that was from. Spotted 2 enemy tanks, damaged 10, killed 5, and got 112 assistance damage, travelling almost 4 kilometers. We were running a premium account at the time, so we made a 42,000 credit profit. Even without that premium account, it would have still been a 25,000 credit profit. And of course, that 1,300 base XP became almost 2,000 with a premium account plus some free XP. So there we go. That was my ace game in the T25/2. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, please feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao, ciao.